Hello everyone, I'm Paul and welcome to Gelling Outdoors. Today, as you can see in my hand, I have a snail horn. I'm going to install it here on my Kubota. I think my tractor should have a horn on it. Currently it doesn't. The LX model does not have a horn when it comes from the manufacturer. The cab models, I believe they do have that, but mine doesn't. Now guys, the horn that I purchased is actually for an ATV or UTV, and the reason why I purchased that type of a horn system is that it comes with the wires. So I have all the wires, got the relay, and I've got a switch and a fuse, the inline fuse for it. So if you buy it all, it's all one unit, and it's very easy to install that way. You don't have to go out and source each part. So let's get it done. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the relay on, and from the relay then I can route all the wires to where they need to go. So in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back this little guard here. I'm going to pull it out of the way, and I'm just going to put it down here on the side so it's out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount the relay here on this bracket. All the bolts that I'm going to be taking out here today is going to be 10 millimeters. So I'm just going to remove the bolt here. As I mentioned, they're all going to be 10 millimeters. Oh, gotta get that wrenched the right way. I'm going to take the bolt right out. Be careful when you're taking it out. There is a washer there that it doesn't fall. It's a bit stubborn because what's happening now is the bracket's going to drop a little bit, so it makes it a little bit harder to get it out. Oh, dropped my wires. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the relay. I'm just going to put the horn out here to the side for now. And I'm going to use the relay here. You can see it. And I'm going to mount it just like this. One thing that I've done with the relay is I've added some tape here. That there was a bit of a crack between the connector and the relay itself, but I sealed it all up with some electrical tape. And we'll install this in here. We'll just put the bolt back in. And now when you go to tighten this one up, you're going to pull up on here a little bit to kind of wiggle it into place because it does drop. I'm just going to get my ratchet in the socket, put it on there, make it a little easier. And it does help to use a bar, an extension bar, as you see here, the extension bar, to get in here a little easier. Okay, just going to put it straight, and I'm going to tighten this right up because this is where it's going to stay. Okay, now I've got the relay on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to route the wires for the battery connections. And what I've done is, if you look here on the end here, I've added some connectors. The way this came was they had this one connector that was specific for the UTV or ATV that it would connect to, but it won't apply in my application. So I disconnected this here. And what I've done is I've added a couple connectors, and I've created a couple lead wires that I'll connect in here that will run to the battery posts. So I'm just going to plug these in temporarily right now, and then I'm going to route them to where they got to go. So I'm just going to route this in here, and we'll connect this later. This will be the last thing that we do. So I'm just going to put the wiring here and just leave it there for now. Alright guys, the next thing to do is to install the actual horn. The horn comes with a little mounting bracket. You're going to want to angle it somewhat the way I have it here. It's going to fit the best. Initially, you may want to put it here on this bolt on the radiator, but the problem is the rod here that holds up the hood will actually interfere if you have the horn this way. Doesn't matter where you put it, it's going to interfere when it comes down. So you want to put it on the back side here. There's a bolt on the back side of the rod that's attached to the support bracket. We'll just take that out. Be careful again that you don't lose the washer. And you can just mount the horn Again, it's a little bit tricky getting the bolt in there and lined up. There we go. And you can angle it the way, basically like that. There's lots of clearance. It's not touching anywhere against the the shroud of the fan. And we'll just tighten it up here. Okay, so it's nice and snug. The next thing I'm going to do is just going to take the wiring. There's quite a bit of wiring here for the horn itself. And we're going to stretch it back out. Move that wire over there. And we're just going to hang it over the top here for now. And we're just going to leave it all in the front. We're going to tuck all that stuff in later. The next thing to do is going to move this cover plate here out of the way. Next thing to do is to take off your side panel, and all you have to do to take off the side panel is just pull straight up on it and then pull it forward, or you're going to be pulling it to my right, as you can see right now. And I'm just going to take this right out of the way, as you can see here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring the wiring harness for the switch that goes to the dash. I'm just going to route it down here. I'm just going to bring it out along the side here for now and just leave it hanging. Okay guys, the next thing to do is to mount the switch, and what I've decided to do is I mount the switch here on this side. And in order to do that, what I had to do, there was two of these blanks that were here, and what I did is I lifted up this rubber boot and I pushed one of the blanks out from underneath, and then the second one I was able to pry it out from where the location of the other one was pulled out. So we can just put that back down. Now the other thing I had to do is I had to modify the hole just a little bit wider. So what I use is a multi-tool. It's really good for cutting plastics or anywhere that's really fine. You can see the type of blade that I have on there. I just wanted to show you this, not promoting rigid by any means, but I just want to show you that here with the multi-tool, the different types of blades that you can use for different applications. I don't just use this for plastics. You can use it for wood or metal and whatever you have where you need to get into tight spaces. So there's quite a few blades that you can get. There's more than just what I show you here, but a good kit like this will benefit you whether you're doing carpentry or if you're doing mechanical work or whatever you're kind of doing, fabrication and stuff. So anyways guys, I've got the hole there, and the reason why I took that side panel out is what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this lead wire, and I don't know if you'll be able to see with the camera, but there's a direct line that goes right through. If you try and get the camera in there, hopefully you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the wire, and I can keep it down here on the right side of the tractor tight to the panel, and I'm just going to push it all the way down, and what it's going to do is it's going to come out at the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie the connector end on the switch. I'm just going to wrap it around a couple times just to get it there, and you can see where it came out on the bottom. So all I have to do now is feed it through the hole at the top, and I'm just going to pull the wire through the bottom here. Okay, it slipped off, but I was lucky that it slipped off just as it came through. So I'm just going to put the switch there loose. Now the harness, if you come up here and look on this side here, you got the relay here, down here there's the relay, and then the harness that goes for the switch. So just running it along here, that's why I removed the side panel. And all I have to do, if you come over on this side here, I just have to connect it. So I'm just going to connect it there. Okay guys, now the important thing here is that you take this wire and you push it up so that you have the protective sheathing inside of the paneling, and you want to make sure that it goes under this pin. This pin here and this pin here are used for the side panel. If you put it on top of the pin, the side panel won't go back on. So you want to put it underneath, just like I've got it there now, and it has the protective sheathing. The next thing that you can do is I'm going to put a couple of zip ties. If you come over here, if you look from this side here, guys, you can see there's a few places you can zip tie it. I'm just going to zip tie it down here on the line. Oh, that zip tie there, that one's no good. You can just reach in there. A little easier doing this off camera. I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera right now. Get that in there. You can hear my dog barking there in the background. She must see something she doesn't like. So I'm just going to put a zip tie there for now. And I'm going to make sure that's underneath. As you can see there, it's underneath. And then I'm going to pull it just a little bit tighter. And this is the other end where the pin for the front end of the side panel. And you want to bring it underneath again. And we'll just zip tie it there. We'll just do that. I'll just put the zip tie like this, and then I'll fasten it tighter. And we'll make sure that it goes underneath. If you don't put it underneath, then you'll have problems with your... Oh, that's a pretty cheap zip tie. I guess it might be just too cold for that. So I'm just going to try to get another one out of my pocket here. Some of these zip ties are not very good. I'm going to come back later and I'm going to put a thicker zip tie, something that will stand up to the cold a little bit better. But for my installation here for now, just so I can show you guys, we'll just do this here. And then we can just pull the cable, the harness a little tighter as we tighten it up. Okay, so that's all connected. It's all fastened up. The next thing to do is just put back the side panel. Quick and easy. Just slide it down inside. Make sure that there's the two holes here. You can see 1, 2, that it goes into the pins I mentioned earlier. So I'm just sliding them into where the pin is. And the other side here is that you're going to put the pin in there. And there's a pin up here on the top as well. So that's it. That's done. So my harness to the switch is in, horns in. The other thing we have to do here, if we come up to the front, you can see my switch is not pushed in. I'm just going to push the switch tight. And you can see that there's a little hole there. And that's because the switch is not quite long enough when I move the two plates. What I have done, I'll show you here, and using that multi-tool, is that I've cut the... Oh, that's a regular full plate or blank that goes in there to cover the hole up. And what I've done is I've cut one of them in half. You can see there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of sealant, and I'm going to put this in here, and it's going to, as you can see there, I'm going to do this off camera. It'll be a little easier. So I'm just going to put it in there. I've got it cut to fit. So, and then I'm just going to put a little sealant so that I don't get any water in there. All right, guys, the last thing to do is to connect the wire leads to the battery. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to loosen up the positive first. And we're going to connect to the positive side first. Oh boy, that got stubborn all of a sudden. Get that cable out of the way. Whoop. You can see that little spark there. Basically, it's because I hit the metal here. You got to be very careful not to ground it out. Normally, what I would do is just take this off so the battery's not connected at all. It would take the negative off. Well, in this case, I just want to show you for the video. So I'm going to connect the positive, and we'll put that on. It's a small little nut. I've got to be careful I don't drop it. Come on, get on there. Holy smokes. It's a little tougher when it's cold, and then when you have a little bit of a glove, you can't quite get the dexterity that you want. Okay, so that's on there. So now I'm just going to tighten it up, and this time I'm going to watch I don't hit any metal. I don't want to cause any serious problems here electrically. What I'm going to do after as well, I'm going to do it off camera, is going to put a little dielectric grease on there to help prevent any kind of corrosion. Once I get this all tightened up, we'll go on to the negative side. Okay, so we'll loosen up the negative now. And again, whenever you're working on the battery, normally what you do is you disconnect the negative completely and then do whatever you need to do on the positive side, come back to the negative. And this side here, basically as well as when you're working on the positive side, you don't want to ground it, especially if you have your negative side on your battery connected. So we're just looking for the negative lead. There's the negative lead here. I'm just going to add that on. And we'll try and stick that on there. And I'll switch my socket to go the right way. And we'll tighten it up. Make sure it's good and tight. You don't want to have any loose connections. Loose connection can cause you all kinds of serious problems, especially you're going to get some resistance and you may get some overheating. So you don't want loose wires anywhere. So the last thing to do is just to put back this guard here that was on the side. On the center, on the top here, there's a little clip, and on the bottom there's a couple little clips that go in. Very easy. So we'll just come here on this side. We'll move the wiring out of the way a bit, and we'll put that behind. I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera. Okay, so I've got that in there, and the next thing to do is just to push that in there. So I'm not going to show you this right now, but all you have to do is tuck this all in and zip tie it, all this excess cable. Just tie it, zip tie it down, and route it a little bit cleaner. So that's basically the install of the horn. So obviously you want to hear what it sounds like. So let's go to the front and test it out. So as you can see, it has a little picture of the horn and has the word horn. Actually, I've got it upside down. That's okay, I don't have it quite in yet. I just gotta pull it up. There, turn that around. I don't like to have it upside down, so I'm just going to put it this way. There we go. So we just test it out. It's a toggle switch. So nice loud horn. Sounds pretty good. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's quite an easy install. It's nice to have a horn. I think you should have a horn on your tractor. It's up to you whether you want one or not. For my needs, I think it's better that I do, to get someone's attention when we're working. Anyways, guys, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Gelling Outdoors.